Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson where we're going to talk about unexpected things. We're going to talk about things that happen in life that you weren't planning to have happen. We're going to talk about things that happen out of the blue. I'm not sure if you're aware of the English phrase out of the blue, but when something happens out of the blue or all of a sudden, it means that you weren't expecting it to happen. When you thought about what your day was going to be like, that was not one of the things you thought was going to happen. So today we're going to do a little English class, a free English class about unexpected things. A freak storm. So one of the things in life that can be unexpected is a freak storm. Now, you might know the word freak to mean someone who's a little bit strange. It's a little bit of an insult to call someone a freak, but we do use this word to talk about a storm that appears suddenly. Let's say the weather forecast said, beautiful day all day today. And then all of a sudden in the afternoon, there's a storm. It just shows up out of the blue. We would say that that's a freak storm. By the way, notice I use the phrase all of a sudden as well as all of the sudden. I believe both are correct in informal English. I'll have to look up which one is the most correct. Maybe I'll post that in the comments below. But a freak storm can certainly be unexpected. We had a freak storm a few days ago. It all of the sudden got windy and rain started coming down. We were afraid it might hail, but it didn't. An inheritance. So this might be an unexpected thing. An inheritance is when you get money from your parents or an older relative when they pass away, when they die. Sometimes, though, you might get an unexpected inheritance. I had a friend who had a great uncle pass away in Holland, and he got an unexpected inheritance. All of a sudden, he got money from this great uncle. So that was something that he was not expecting. So he was sad that his great uncle passed away, but also surprised at the unexpected money that he received as an inheritance. Black ice. So this is something specific to those of us that drive in northern countries or southern countries where you get snow. All of my Russian viewers will be aware what black ice is. It's when the road looks normal, but there's actually a tiny layer of ice on top. It's very, very dangerous. In the winter here, sometimes on the radio, they'll say, be careful on your drive into work because there's black ice this morning. So again, what makes black ice dangerous is that if the road is already black and there's a small layer of ice on top, you can't see it. So all of a sudden your car might start going like this because you are on black ice. Certainly something that can be unexpected. Old age. So this is something that people say things like this. Old age creeps up on you. So one day you're young and then all of a sudden you're old. And believe me, that is how it works. For me, it was around age 44 or 45 where I started to feel old. Old age is something that can be unexpected. You think you're young and in good shape. You're 20, you're 25, you're 30, you're 35, you're 40, you're 45, and then all of a sudden you feel quite old. It's like old age has snuck up on you or it has crept up on you. It's definitely something that can be unexpected. Even though we all expect to get old, it can certainly feel like it's something that happens in an unexpected way. A smile. Sometimes when you are out in public and you walk by people, they might look really grouchy or crabby. Like they might be walking like staring at the ground and they just have a somber look on their face. But if you're walking along, maybe at the shopping mall or along a sidewalk and someone smiles, all of a sudden someone smiles as they walk by, it can be unexpected and it can be a nice feeling. I wish people smiled more in the world. I think that people who have kind of a grouchy look on their face, I think you need to find something to be happy about so you can smile, because I think an unexpected smile from someone can be kind of nice. An old song on the radio. So I find that there's a lot of music that I listened to when I was a teenager There's a different sort of music I listened to when I was in my 20s. And if I listen to the radio, especially when I'm driving, sometimes unexpectedly, a song will come on the radio that I knew when I was 16 or 17. And even though I wasn't planning to listen to that song, even though it's unexpected, it's a very cool surprise during the day. I actually spend quite a bit of time on YouTube listening to songs from different eras of my life, especially if I've unexpectedly heard one on the radio earlier that day. So an old song on the radio can be certainly something cool and unexpected. A delayed or canceled flight. So I have a friend who I was supposed to talk to on Zoom this week, and they weren't able to make it because they needed to pick a friend up at the airport, and that friend's flight had been delayed. So I got an email from my friend that morning saying, "Sorry, can't chat. I have to pick my friend up at the airport, and their flight is delayed." So that can be something that's unexpected, something that you weren't expecting to have happen that day. What's worse is if the flight is canceled. There was, I think, a friend of mine went to the air. How did this work? My memory is fading. I brought a friend of mine to the airport once when I was about 20, 21 years old. And when we got there, his flight had been canceled. That was unexpected and not a good, not like, it wasn't a happy thing like hearing an old song on the radio. It was definitely something that he was a little bit annoyed about. So a delayed or canceled flight can be something that's unexpected. A surprise visit. Now, this can go one way or the other. A surprise visit can be something cool. A surprise visit can also be a little bit awkward. So a surprise visit is when someone shows up at your house and knocks on your door and they didn't tell you that they were coming. I remember as a kid, my dad's cousin and his whole family showed up one day in the summer, and it was a surprise visit. And my dad wasn't very happy about it because we had a lot of work to do on the farm. Luckily, he put them all to work and they helped us do all the hay. But a surprise visit from a relative or a friend can be super cool, but it can also be something that might be a bit annoying if you had other plans for that day. And then, of course, a surprise party. I have to admit, I don't think anyone has ever thrown a surprise party for me. If you watch TV, a surprise party is when someone walks into their house or apartment and everyone yells, "Surprise!" And there's all kinds of people there for a surprise birthday party or a surprise party of some kind. I need to correct myself though. I think some friends from work threw a surprise party for me and Jen when we were expecting our first child. Yes, that did happen. A friend invited us to a restaurant for a meal. And when we got there, about 15 people from work were there. And they said, "Surprise, this is a surprise party." You would call it a baby shower, but it was a surprise party where they gave us gifts because we were expecting a baby in a few months. So that was a lot of fun. And then this can be something that's really cool. When your boss says that you can go home early, being done work early. I have had a number of jobs in my life. I have only had 2 bosses out of the 5 or 6 jobs I had where they would sometimes let us go home early with pay. I had a job once where I found this clock that said 4:30. I had a job where we normally worked till 5. And about once every 2 weeks, my boss would say, "You know what, let's knock off early today," or "Let's just go home early today. We're all done." They were summer jobs that I did as a student, but certainly being done work early, hearing your boss say, "Hey, let's just go home an hour early today," or half an hour early, can be unexpected, and it can be a super exciting thing. A thank you note. Sometimes you do something nice for someone, and you do it because you just want to help them. You're not doing it for money. You're not doing it because you want them to thank you. But a few days later, maybe in the mail, you'll get a little thank you card. And it's really nice. I've had this happen a few times in my life where I think I stayed and I helped clean up all the chairs and tables at an event. There was a family party for someone's 50th anniversary. And I stayed and I helped clean up all the chairs and tables at the end of the evening. And then a week later, they sent me a little thank you card. I didn't expect it. I wasn't expecting a thank you card, but it was a nice feeling. It's really nice to get a little thank you card in the mail after you help someone do something. Free samples. So sometimes you go to the grocery store and they are giving away free samples of food. They're giving away free samples because they want you to try the food. In this picture, they're giving away free samples of crackers. But for me, I don't expect this. Sometimes it's unexpected. You go to a grocery store and they're giving away little chocolates for you to try, or they're giving away little bowls of cereal or some other kind of food. It's a lot of fun when you go to the grocery store and they give away free samples. I love free samples. Sometimes we go to one type of store called Costco here in North America. They almost always have samples before COVID, of course. But I kind of expect them, so I don't eat lunch when I go there because there's little samples to try. But free samples are always cool. Getting sprayed by a skunk. So if you're wondering how I come up with lesson ideas, usually the seed of the idea comes from something that happened in my life. So this week I had a friend who had to pick someone up at the airport and their flight was delayed. And this week, Oscar, our dog, got sprayed by a skunk. Jen came in late in the evening after working in the flower field, and she said, "Don't let Oscar in. Don't touch Oscar. He smells." He got sprayed by a skunk. So this was a few days ago. Obviously, we did not expect this. It was an unexpected thing. And Oscar has been a little bit smelly for a few days. It's almost gone now, I think so. But it takes a few days. For those of you that don't know, a skunk is an animal that when it feels threatened, it will spray a very smelly, I guess, cloud of, I don't even know what it is. It just smells and it attaches itself to whoever they spray. So Oscar smells really bad right now. A large bill. Sometimes you get work done on your car, or you have someone do some renovations on your house. And then when it's all done, maybe you think it's going to cost $1,000 and you get unexpectedly, you get a large bill for $2,000 or $3,000. That is never fun. It's never fun to unexpectedly get a large bill for something. I'm sure this has happened to many of you where you've paid someone to do something and you thought it was going to cost $100. And it ended up costing $200 or $300 or even more. Never fun to get a large bill. This has happened to me a few times in my life. I usually do not appreciate when that happens. I like to know ahead of time how much something will cost. And that leads us to things like a breakdown. When you get in your car, if you are someone who has a car, you do not expect your car to break while you're driving. You do not expect to have a flat tire. You don't expect it to suddenly stop working. You don't want to have a breakdown. As some of you know, my big tractor had a breakdown a few weeks ago, and so I couldn't use it for a few days. It magically started working again though, so I'm not sure how that happened. That was unexpected. I thought I was going to end up with a large bill to repair my tractor after it had a breakdown, but it just started working by itself. So, and then as I mentioned, a flat tire is another thing that can be quite unexpected. You get in your car, you start driving, and all of a sudden you hear da-dun, 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 or some other weird noise, and you get out and you see this. Never fun to have to change your tire on the side of the road. A kind word. Sometimes when you are with people, they are grumpy, but sometimes they're happy and nice, and they say something nice about you. So a compliment or a kind word is always really nice. If someone says, for me, when people say, "I really like your YouTube videos," it makes me happy to hear someone say something kind about something that I have done or about me. So thank you when you guys do that. Finding money in your pocket. This doesn't happen to me very much anymore. But because we live in a country where we have summer and winter, I generally wear shorts in the summer and pants in the winter. I generally wear short sleeve shirts in the summer and sometimes long sleeve shirts in the winter. Um, but sometimes you're wearing pants and maybe there's $10 in the pocket and it's getting too warm for pants, and so you don't wear them for a whole season. And then in the fall you go to put them on or you go to wash them and you find that money. So when you find money in your pocket, that's an unexpected thing. And this was one of my favorite things. It doesn't happen very often anymore because we use bank cards to pay for so many things. A cliffhanger. A cliffhanger is when you're reading a book and the book ends, but nothing has been resolved, or you're watching a TV show or a movie. And so a typical ending would be they lived happily ever after, or the police catch the criminal. That would be a normal ending. With a cliffhanger, the ending would be, two people are interested in each other romantically and one moves to another city and you don't know what happens next. Or the police don't catch the criminal. The show ends or the book ends and the criminal has not been caught. That would be a cliffhanger because the story hasn't been resolved. It hasn't been, there was not a good conclusion to the story. I don't like cliffhangers. I like it when things end and I know all the details. So this is a sadder one. We have a phrase in English, to take a turn for the worse. When someone's in the hospital, or in this picture, when a pet is being, checked over by the veterinarian. When someone is sick, sometimes they get better, sometimes it stays the same, and sometimes unexpectedly, they can take a turn for the worse. This means usually they're already in the hospital and things get worse. I'm sure all of us know someone who has had a serious illness and they weren't feeling well and they went to the hospital, and instead of getting better, they took a turn for the worse. Maybe for a little bit, but maybe that eventually ended up in them passing away, which is very, very sad. But it can be unexpected when a person we know, or even a pet who is sick, takes a turn for the worse. Never enjoyable to get a phone call saying someone you know is in the hospital and they're not doing well. They've taken a turn for the worse. Never good news to hear. On the flip side, we have what's called a miracle. So we use the word miracle in English to talk about anything that happens that shouldn't necessarily have been possible. Sometimes people they'll have a baby and the baby isn't very healthy when it's born, but within a week it's healthy and thriving and it's doing well. We would say, oh, it's a miracle. Maybe someone has cancer and the doctor says it's terminal. When you have terminal cancer, it means you're going to die from the cancer. And then all of a sudden you recover. We would say that that is a miracle. It's always cool to hear about a miracle. Now, the word miracle has religious connotations, but in everyday English, it doesn't necessarily mean a religious miracle. Like you can definitely use this word to describe anything that happens and there's no good explanation of why it was better. And we use the word miraculous quite often, and then miraculously my tractor just started working again. I wouldn't say it was a miracle, but I might use the word miraculously. Something that happened in some way. This is similar to a large bill, but you might get an income tax bill. In Canada, a certain amount of the money you make each year needs to be sent to the government. We have to pay our taxes. And sometimes maybe you make too much money and the government says you owe a lot. It's never enjoyable to get a large income tax bill. I've never had this happen before. I think because I have 5 kids who are all dependents, I don't end up paying as much taxes. But someday I'll probably get a large income tax bill when no kids are living at home. A speeding ticket. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought for a sec. Let me think about this one. How many speeding tickets have I gotten in life? Not very many. A speeding ticket can certainly be an unexpected thing. Maybe you're late for work or you're trying to get somewhere quickly and you have a heavy foot. That means you push the gas pedal too much. And all of a sudden you hear the sound of a siren and you see lights in your rearview mirror. I've gotten 1 or 2 tickets. I know I've gotten one for sure, maybe 2. I know I was pulled over once and he just told me to slow down and didn't give me a ticket. I was like, thank you. But a speeding ticket is certainly an unexpected thing to have happen. No one leaves for work or goes to drive somewhere expecting to get a ticket. So it can be quite unexpected. Missing the train or missing the bus or missing anything can be unexpected. Luckily for my kids, if they miss the school bus, I can still give them a ride to school because I leave slightly later and it's not really that far out of my way to bring them to school. But certainly if you're going somewhere and you miss the train or you miss the bus, it's unexpected and it can certainly be something in your day that is not enjoyable. One of the bad things that can happen, one of the unexpected things that is bad. Hidden fees. So let me explain this one. Sometimes you pay someone to do something and they say it's going to be $50, but you didn't read the fine print or the small print at the bottom of the page. And even though they said $50, in the fine print there were hidden fees. This happens sometimes in Canada with when you do banking. Banks are notorious in Canada for having hidden fees. You think that something's going to cost a certain amount of money, but because you didn't read the fine print or the small print, you didn't realize there were hidden fees. I've had this happen a few times in my life where I thought something was going to cost a certain amount of money and it ended up costing more because I didn't read the fine print and there were hidden fees. Never an enjoyable experience to find out later that you owe more money than you thought you were going to. A lightning strike. So sometimes there are storms. Last night we had a storm here. It didn't rain, but there was a lot of lightning. But you don't expect the lightning to hit close to you. You just like to see lightning in the distance on the horizon. But once when I was working as a construction worker, I was about 18 years old, lightning hit really close to me and another worker. We didn't get hit by lightning. We weren't struck by lightning, but we certainly ran inside very, very quickly because we were not expecting lightning to hit. By the way, for any of you that have seen lightning, have seen a lightning strike, it is incredibly scary when you see lightning hit, 50 meters away. If you see it hit a tree or hit the ground, it's very, very scary. Free stuff. Sometimes you're driving around and someone will have something by the road and there will be a sign that says free. Maybe it'll be an old couch or a table that they don't want anymore. I don't know if this happens in your country, but where I live, sometimes people have things they don't want and they will put it beside the road with a sign that says free. I don't always pick it up, but once in our lives, we got a table for free. We were driving around and we saw a table with a sign that said free. So we put it in our car and I think Jen used it in her workshop where she puts bouquets together. So free stuff, always fun. Everyone loves free stuff, right? A shout out. I don't know if Brent's still here, but a shout out can be unexpected. So a shout out is when someone on a social media platform like YouTube mentions another YouTuber. So Brent is not expecting this morning. I really hope he's still here, but Brent is doing a live stream at 9:35 my time. So in 20 minutes, Brent is doing a live stream about fall versus summer. So I thought it would be fun in this lesson to unexpectedly give Brent a shout out. So again, a shout out is when you mention another YouTuber or another person on social media and you let people know something that they are doing. So I'm giving Brent a shout out right now. He's doing a quiz on fall versus summer over on his channel. It starts in about 20 minutes. You should head over there when this live stream is done if you want to participate. There's your shout out, Brent. Let's see here, a compliment. So I think I already did a kind word, didn't I? Yes. So a kind word is when you say something nice to someone, like you are smart, or I really like your haircut, or that shirt looks really good on you. When you give someone a compliment, it can be unexpected. Okay. It's nice when you go through your day, especially like if you get a new haircut. And if someone says, "Oh, did you get a new haircut? It looks great on you." That would be something that would be really nice to hear. So here's one. It's kind of a specific situation, but your wallet or purse returned with nothing missing. So let's say you're walking around in the park and you lose your wallet. And let's say you have money in your wallet and your credit cards, and you realize when you get home you've lost your wallet. What you're expecting to happen is that you'll never get it back, or if you do get it back, all the money and credit cards will be gone. Okay. But what would be unexpected is if you got your wallet back and everything was still in it. So one time in my life, I was working in a restaurant in Quebec City, and some patrons left and they forgot the lady forgot her purse. And so I gave the purse to the manager and said, someone forgot their purse. And then my next shift, there was an envelope and there was a thank you note from the lady saying, "Thank you for returning my purse. Thank you for not taking anything out of it. Here's $100 because I just appreciate your honesty." So I was like super excited. It was a lot of fun to have that happen. Finding something you thought was lost for good. So sometimes in life you lose things, okay? I actually lost my wedding ring once. I'm not sure if this will focus on the wedding ring. It's not focusing. I'll just hold it back here a little bit. I lost my wedding ring once, and I had lost it for almost, I think, half a year. And then Jen found it outside in the lawn when she was doing some gardening. So we were super happy because she found something that we thought was lost for good. When something is lost for good, it means you don't ever expect to find it back. But Jen found it back. So I thought that was really cool. But certainly it can be unexpected when you find something that you thought was lost, and that you just thought, well, I'm going to have to buy a new one. With a wedding ring, that would be kind of sad because there's sentimental value. In English, when you say something has sentimental value, it means, this ring is special to me because Jen gave it to me over 20 years ago. So, new shoes that are different sizes. This has happened to me twice in my life where I've bought new shoes, and then when I get home, one is size 10 and one is size 9, or one is size 11 and one is size 9. So now I almost always check before I leave the store to make sure the shoes are the same size. And this almost happened the other day. This is the third thing that happened that made me want to do a lesson on unexpected things. But the checkout person in the store caught it. The checkout person checked to make sure the shoes were the same size. And then she said, "This is a 9.5 and this is a 10. Which size did you want?" And I said 9.5. Now you all know what shoe size I wear. And then getting an upgrade to business class or to first class. This has only happened to me once in my life. I bought a ticket for a normal seat on an airplane. When I was getting on the airplane, they said they had oversold the flight. And so they asked if I wanted to be upgraded to business class, which is a little bit bigger seat and better snacks than the normal section. So when I fly, I always buy the cheapest seat that I can find. But once in my life, I was getting on a plane and they said they had sold too many tickets for the normal part of the plane. And so they bumped me up to business class. They upgraded me to business class. That was super cool. The seat on the plane was really big. Instead of just getting a little bag of nuts and a can of pop, I got like a whole fancy meal. It was really, really nice.